Alright, guys, so welcome to the PFI Music Podcast. This is your host, Pablo, your Ruiz Vargas, episode 131st from this great podcast that I'm very grateful for being part of you guys' life. Today's topic is going to be educate yourself or self thought. Educate yourself or the self thought of being a renaissance person, right? Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast. You listen to the podcast on YouTube or, Rumble BitChute. You listen to the podcast on Anchor.fm. I'm going to really appreciate or gladly appreciate if you can just share the podcast with family members or friends. So for the today's topics, it's going to be educating yourself and the benefit that has been given to me as such approach. I'm not gonna talk about how to do it. It's just the benefit that has impacted my life. Since I started educating myself, I have just to go back. I have a bachelor and master's degree in music. Wanted to pursue doctor degree. Had the opportunity a couple times, but I said no to it for reasons that it was not following my dreams. I was following society's dream. I wanted to just be an entrepreneur, have entrepreneurship mentality, and I think pursuing doctor degree it will not accomplish such thing, since I wanted to do other things such as sales and personal development and all that stuff. Not saying that doctors cannot be entrepreneurs. It's just that if I wanted to spend another 10 or 5 years 10 to 6 years or whatever that would take, I had to just negotiate life experience. We just keep looking at the books in front of my face. I think someone else once told me that, hey Pablo, quote unquote said, hey Pablo, you have to stop hiding yourself behind my classroom and start living life. And I had to take that as one of the best sayings I heard in my entire life. So basically, what I was doing is just trying to live life behind a classroom because it was safe. Student loans and student loan were paying for my classes. They were hiding basically responsibilities, and those responsibilities were not, exposed for me, since I was already protected by money that was not mine. And going back to those days where I was basically struggling, struggling badly. When I was doing my master's degree, that was fine, but then the year after, I wanted to just do 2 years of music certificate, and I put myself more into that and went there to just keep learning music and keep taking the same classes. That was something surprise. I thought, because I already took those classes in my master's degree, they would take them as credit. But I think that's more like a old story, because universities, they need to make money, so it made no sense if they wanted to just take some of those credits out. So I had to pay for credits for classes that I already took. In that same token, I suffer a lot in Wyoming. Money was a huge issue. I had problems there. I got a lot of problems, and it was a bad experience. When I left Wyoming, I had to just leave boxes of clothes over there and throw them in the trash, jackets. It was a lot of things. I remember having like a couple luggages, and I had to go back to New York. That time, it was bad. It was very bad. And I wanted to pursue, music, and I wanted to just go to different schools, but it was not happening, since somehow life was not giving me the opportunity, and thankfully it didn't. I didn't want to. Summer school, they gave me some scholarships, in Las Vegas, and especially in Reno. And I could have taken, but I would be in a worse position. I mean, probably homeless, from what I can say, or probably in a bad situation, probably, and keep hiding myself from responsibilities of life. So I decided to just go and live life and figure out things. So that's where I started educating myself into life. So I wanted to just record. I wanted to just do my first albums and get into the business of sales and real estate and all that stuff, which I managed to do. And with that, real experience and responsibility came by. And I noticed that I have a lot of things I never learned and a lot of things that needed to be exposed earlier in my life, but it didn't happen that way. So as soon as I started working and finding a job and not taking classes or doing all those old school stuff regarding music, I noticed that I needed experience with people, and I noticed that a lot of people didn't have the best intentions on my part. So I got taken advantage a couple times, got my arm twisted a couple times, and with that came from time that I didn't have time for money. I didn't have money for food. I didn't have things like that nature. Very bad in my daily life. Struggling with a lot of weird addictions and stuff like that. So I managed to just get a part fixed by self-educating. I had to throw all my old belief out of the window, and mostly all the things that I just learned from basically from school, because they were not helping me at all. They were not helping me in the real problem, which was the inner self problem. Everything was like a procedure from life, but it was a procedure for life from losers, people that didn't know how to win. So I was being taught by people that were not winners. So that that cycle kept going. And when I started meeting people that were winners, or they were close to being that path, I understand why I was in the situation that I was, and still to this day, I'm heading towards that mission, and haven't really set up things correctly. But I'm trying to figure out what needs to be done to just move forward in life. With this came the personal responsibility in my space to start reading books, which I hated. I did try to read before, but I was struggling a lot. Concentration was not there. So I needed to just build that skill and start reading books. This time I was not reading books about martial arts. I was reading books about self-development, music, music business, music marketing, marketing. I was listening Napoleon Hill, a lot of the books that were target the biggest problem, which is the inner self. With that being said, I did struggle with um, a lot of things, even in my area of music. Even though I managed to just do a couple albums and work with a lot of people, um, it was something that I never understood, and still for this time I would not. I'm still understanding regarding music, and is the fact that I had everything wrong. Everything was wrong. Everything, the way I was looking at music was wrong, and now I see things differently. Something I learned was you need to expose yourself. Expose yourself to be just cool. I mean, there's a lot of things I learned. I learned to just do concerts, just do marketing to a concert. I traveled Europe for the first time. I did a lot of things. I play with orchestras and shit like that. But there's something about about the life experience that I would just never get if I never did that step in my life. Therefore, I got what I want. It all started from simply reading and searching for help, buying courses. And from that, I noticed that my life was heading towards a new place, right? And that place was self-education, educating myself. And the more time goes by, I understand why it's important for me to always stay focused and never get out of the way for me to blame people. A lot of emotional stability, a lot of weird things I never understood about myself. The more I grew up, or more time was going on, the more I would start learning about myself. I understood that how many traumas I had in my life, which was something that I figured out through educating myself, reading books, um, reading to a lot of people, therapy sessions, um, knowing about therapy sessions, uh, knowing about dealing with traumas and all that stuff. And all those things really, as soon as I start acknowledge them, did help me in other ways that I would never be enough grateful for. And still to this day, I still read 2 or 3 pages a day. Something that I can just, manage carefully. And for that, I'm very humble. Still, trying to push forward to make sure I just accomplish whatever God put me in this world to do. Why I wanted to say this? I wanted to give this to, for people that needed to hear that education never ends when you get your diplomas. That's just not even the beginning. It's just a small step that you take away, but it's not even the beginning. Beginning start when you get your first fails. Beginning start when you life start kicking you back. You need to step up. Yeah, that's when you really start starting. Keep educating yourself. Right? Never stop. With this, guys, I hope you guys have a great night. This was episode 131 from the PA Alpha Music Podcast. Very short. Cold here in Milwaukee, but I love the cold weather. With this, guys, I'm out. Have a good night.